whilst they've changed the recent scheme, they're still now saying that should we be forced to close, that we would still have to pay national insurance and pension for these people, even though we've been forced to close by the government.
What you mean for your staff?
Absolutely,
and,
yeah.
and how many do you employ, Russell?
60.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
I'm a hotelier. So, but I mean, I was involved in a business before. We had, they told me not to say the business, but we had 3,000 staff, and
right.
you know, and I feel for everyone in the industry. The fact of the matter is, how can you, as a government, close down a business and say you have to pay up for the pension, which is forced upon you, and for national insurance when we've closed down your business? I mean, this is absolutely outrageous. And they say that it's going to go on for 6 months. And to be quite honest, there's been other people on the radio saying that this will be 2 years before this is resolved.
I mean, they don't know, Russell, do they? That's the point. Nobody's got a clue. Nobody's got a clue. It could be 6 months,
well, no,
it could be a year.
Do you expect people that own a business to pay national insurance and pension for people for how long before you sack them or before you get rid of them? Rishi Sunak was on the radio the other day, and it would become very clear, because what he said was, well, you know, the point is that if you make someone redundant, then the company will have to pay a redundancy fee, and therefore it's in their interest not to make them redundant. So basically what he's saying is you as an owner have costs anyway, and therefore we're gonna ride on the back of those costs, which is absolutely appalling. But I mean, the fact is, why are you as a station not holding his feet to the fire, right? Because if it is the fact that they are worried about restaurants and bars, why on earth did he do the eat out to help out? What were they possibly thinking? And if so, why was there no immediately spike? You know, because I know that everyone was very, very busy in August. They touted this as being such a wonderful scheme that worked. Where was the big spike? Right?
Yeah.
So you can't have it both ways. Which one is it? Are people in danger in restaurants? Then why did you send them there? You know, is that the same as you seeded the care homes? You know, it's very unfortunate that the media keeps letting them off. You don't drill down on what they're doing. You know, the average dying age of people is 82.4 years.
That's right.
Higher than the average age of other people.
Yeah.
You know, of course students are going to get it, but the fact of the matter is they're not dying of it, right? The same as they don't die of flu, the same as they don't have to be injected against flu every week. They are killing this country. We are close to collapse. And my industry, the hotel industry, the events industry, the pub industry, it is finished. And you know what I think it is? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think that this is all on the way to the same as it was with the smoking. Drink causes problems in the NHS. You've just had the health guy from Ireland say, and I just don't think these things are going to end. And I think that there's an underlying tone here on everything. And what Boris Johnson is doing is waving his resolve to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, without people from the Commons being able to question anything, and it's just getting out of control.
All right, Russell, just a pressure time. I'm going to move on, but thank you for your call. You make a series of very good points. I hadn't realised, you know, the government will pay 7% of the wages, but the employer has to pick up the national insurance bill and the pension contributions. Russell's got 60 staff. If that's have third-party conferences this year, and as you know, part of the way they generate income is they have a big exhibition area, and I think the Tories at their conference last year made £2 million.
Exactly, and all the people that would put that conference together, all the exhibitions, so all those businesses are falling down completely because they've had no support and we haven't got the start date.
And do you think companies are closing down, Helen, that won't reopen in your industry?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
And what about the firm you work for? Is that going to get is that in trouble?
Well, no, the furlough scheme has helped, but like everything else, we had a go date to open as an industry for the 1st of October, and then that got pulled, and we don't have a start date. So how long can we keep going? And also today, with the Chancellor's new scheme, we don't know, but we're not sure if we're actually involved in that either. So it seems to be the hospitality sector, which we don't quite fall under. So we're kind of, in this sort of grey area, I think, for government.
You are.
We don't get support at all.
Helen, thank you for raising that, and if we get ministers on, we'll talk to them about it. That's Helen calling from Croydon. If you are in the hospitality industry or the exhibition industry, do call. What about this new furlough scheme? 67%. Is that going to be anything like enough? Particularly if you haven't worked since March. 0345 6060 973. The time is now 6:46. Headlines, Bill Overton.
The Chancellor's providing safety net furlough terms for workers affected by tighter COVID lockdowns. Local leaders are saying it's not enough. Rules banning pubs and restaurants from serving alcohol indoors have come into effect across Scotland, and the Edinburgh Woolen Mill fashion group's on the brink of collapse. The weather windy and wet for the north of England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland tonight. Cold and frosty further south with a low of 2 degrees. LBC Travel, I'm Dave Goff. There are severe delays on the M25 clockwise. 2 lanes will stay closed because of emergency repairs after a car caught fire earlier before junction 16 for the M40. It's taking about an hour to queue from junction 13 for Staines. It means the